recordings up and going, and I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Good off angle. Watch placing heal when you're not actually low health.
Yeah.
Good positioning start a fight. Maybe could have been like a hair closer, because you didn't really have much contesting you. Nice lane. Alright.
No.
Definitely a good idea to get on the side there.
I also have a hard time against like Widowmakers. Gonna get Hitscan constantly.
Yeah, which that'll be a lot of times positionally based, but not exclusively.
Oh.
Uh-oh. So that one probably would have been awareness, right? So keeping ears open, because I
heard her jump. Yeah, I was a bit late.
exactly. Yep. So you could actually hear her like footsteps shuffling around a little bit over there.
Yeah.
And then also like just like always be paying attention, like where thinking in your head like where's the Widowmaker at? Where's the Widowmaker at? You didn't see her run with her team, so where is she at? Like and like do those 360s. Make sure that when you're approaching that you're not getting snuck up on.
No, I'm not gonna go that way. Yeah. No.
Oh. Unfortunate. Miss Helix. Soldier came up behind us, so maybe a little bit of awareness on the soldier.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Good advisor.
Thanks.
Yep. So gotta watch where she's. You know, know that she's there. Make sure that you're using cover. Mix up your movements so you're not like running in straight lines. Try to like rather like when you're up against the Widow, like in those 1v1s, look to take off angles and get behind her and to the sides of her rather than just like running at her from a long distance head on, which will be where she thrives, not you.
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
Alright, so while it was good that you were trying to scout and pay and watch for where the widow was, you kind of were taking too long to do it. Right, you're kind of dancing around the same spot for like 5-10 seconds rather than like pushing and trying to get on the flank. So you kind of join the fight late, and then once in the fight, there's a lot of like focusing on Hog even after he was like full HP. So make sure you're focusing down the supports first. Yeah, hard one because you were trying to go on the flank and then she sighted you.
Yeah.
They can't get away with this.
Healing pylon deployed. Positioning healing pylon.
Get the enemy here! Over here!
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
Mission. Stay out of my way.
Nice. Take half a second more to like just line up the shots and just like get a quick couple headshots on her. Because we like turn the corner and rushing it at her. Okay, so there we're getting hooked. We're getting hooked because one, we're noticing him late, but then also because you're out in the open. Right, so we can do a recap on positioning and using cover for positioning. But you know, that's how you got hooked, is because you're out in the open and not using cover.
Yeah.
I like your plan of just like assassinate the widow first, and then you can just wreak havoc from behind.
Careful!
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was good that there were a bunch of people there. Problem was that it didn't look like your team was planning on pushing at all with it. They were all pretty far back, which just meant you didn't have any support, and they could all pocket each other. So make sure you're syncing up with your team to do it at the same time as them, and then also make sure you're sticking on one target, because at the beginning you were kind of swapping between all three of them, and then you're just tickling everybody and not killing anybody.
See an enemy.
Se on tuotiin.
Very nice. Very good hold there. Yeah. Good, like you took the duels really well. Awesome. Good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you did pretty good. Honestly, like if you want like a tip in terms of like if you're looking to get better at the game, um, ranked could be a better environment to do that in than something like quick play, as you're going to be going up against. Sorry, one second. People yelling.
You could. Yeah.
Closing the window there. All right. So doing competitive is going to be a more competitive environment, obviously, which when you're in that more competitive environment, you're going to kind of struggle a little bit more than you would in quick play, and that going up against tougher opponents and struggling a little bit more is going to lead to better gameplay. Now, that's completely up to you, and like as I know that with it being competitive comes like people being more competitive and toxicity and longer matches, so it's really going to be up to you and what you prefer. But doing competitive game modes, even if you're not taking it ultra competitively, could be a good way to see more challenge, and more challenge would potentially reap greater improvement and quicker improvement.
I kind I kind of found myself having more fun with the competitive after turning off all the chats.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Just turn off all the chats, go do your thing. Like you and that's take it at whatever level you want to play at. Real quick before you hop in a game, let's just review. And honestly, you could probably queue up because I think I just have one primary thing to talk about, and just we'll do a quick cover refresher for you, and that's should be pretty much it. A lot of the rest you were doing pretty good on. Mechanics pretty good, dueling pretty good. So like you were talking about, positioning is pretty much one of the biggest things. So firstly, just make sure you're using cover. You would very frequent, like if you're standing right here and you're shooting at them, and then all of a sudden all of them are looking at you, you need to back up. It's gonna take 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind the corner, and in that time you die, rather than being right here where you can just instantly get behind it much faster when you're doing this. So it takes half a second to get behind cover, therefore good positioning is the usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. Constantly be standing next to something, like that one case where we got hooked by Hog, we came around the corner and we were like here instead of being like here on the corner, right? So look to do that. Also against Widowmaker, you were kind of getting into it, but then sometimes you wouldn't, where you would sometimes like the Widowmaker would be like down here, and we'd be like trying to run at them from like here, and sometimes you would just like run head on, and then you would struggle when that was the case. You'd be like, I don't know what to do. Like you're just like stuck around the corner, because if you peek, you're gonna die. But then other times you saw lots of success by just like going and taking an angle where she can't see you, get into your distance, your kill distance, like kind of look to assassinate her, and get on top of her, and then now you have free reign because you don't have to worry about a Widowmaker sniping you in the head. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you kind of were doing it, but like there were a couple times where you weren't doing it, and that's where you struggled, especially like during that one point that you lost, was where you kind of struggled with it. You just weren't going off to the side enough. And that's pretty much it for demonstration purposes. Health pack, make sure you're dropping it when you're low health. Sometimes you're dropping it when you're full. Helix, you're doing pretty good at landing those and flicking down with it. Yeah. When you go and flank that Widowmaker, you would just like kind of immediately start. If she's basically standing still, so like just take half a second to line up those headshots. She doesn't know you're there. Just line up the headshots and shoot a quick Helix to finish her off quickly.
Right.
Oh, I stopped watching it, so I stopped streaming.
Every soldier needs a cause. Back to playing the hero? I never stop. Unlike you, the world doesn't want us, Wilhelm. At least I can realize that.
angle.
Oh.
Oh, your audio's off now.
No, is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just, I'll mute it up for now. Maybe it'll resync at some point.
Mm.
Okay. Now, unless you're trying to like show me your soldier, Creek could be a good idea for Tracer.
No, nope.
Nice. Ryan decided he didn't want to use shield. Okay, audio resynced, I think. Nice, Helix. Basically
Hooray.
smurfing on these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta watch those respawns, because that just kind of kept us out of the fight.
Yeah.
Like we were trying to do the flank, but then Tracer's coming back, and then you didn't want to do it anymore, and then by that time the whole team was dead. So, watch. That's another part of awareness. Keep your eyes and ears open. Pay attention to the respawn times, and if you just killed her like a couple seconds ago. Yep. So she's like playing extra aggro like that. And she hasn't used Pulse in a while. She's probably looking for it, so might want to make your movement a bit more erratic, not letting her like run up straight on top of you. Good job just pressuring her away.
Taking the point. Watch my six.
I might switch to Tracer next round. So I've been wanting to play more Tracer too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good effort because that was pretty much your last fight.
No, he switched to Tracer.
Best round lost.
You need to learn to focus.
Score 0-1.
Yeah. You're not struggling to hit shots. It's just that in some of these fights, like you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Not so like I'd say a lot of these are coming down to like positioning and awareness of what's happening around you. Uh-oh. Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch cover. Just I mean, like we blinked out to the open, and then that just got us headshots.
Yeah.
Watch the blink rewind. That's just a bad habit. If you're gonna rewind, you don't want to blink first.
Yeah, I could have gotten closer. I'm a little trigger happy.
Yep, exactly. Close the distance.
Now,
So there got a little too close, right? You want to close the
Yeah.
distance, but you don't want to step inside of Brig and Ryan's swing range, right? Because you have
yeah.
like 10 to 15 meters of range. They have like 5 meters of range, so you want to
Yeah.
stay outside of that. Plus, another thing as well is look to stick more towards the sides of the fights rather than the center of everybody.
Mm.
That'll get you blown up a lot easier.
No, that's not where I want to go.
Unfortunate. Yeah, there may be a few wasted blinks where we were kind of just we'd blink into a random place and then immediately blink again.
Mm.
Nice. Little long of a flank around. If you don't want them to know that you're there, probably crouch, right? Mute your footsteps. Maybe spam crouch. You just don't, and you have a tendency also to like jump all the time, which makes you very loud and obnoxious and obvious.
Mm.
Same thing with your soldier, right? If you're doing a flank, a sneaky flank, don't let them know you're there. If you're trying to go a little bit faster, you can spam crouch. We'll talk more after the game about it. Nice. Good off angle.
Yeah.
Alright, so we keep doing blink recalls, which is just,
Yeah.
you know, you go to recall and then you're blinking right before just wasting a blink.
Mm.
Kind of running away through the middle of the point.
This ends now.
Alright,
Yeah.
so definitely a little bit more Tracer to go over. So let's go over a few things. Alright. So On Tracer, let's see, what are a few things to go over? So, firstly, let's just like talk about general playstyle and just once again, like watch. I mean, I've mentioned a couple times. Just I know that sometimes while you're playing, it can be hard to process what I'm talking about because you're distracted
Mm.
by the game. But just watch your blink recalls because you just blink and recall and waste blinks. You always want to make sure you're not wasting blinks by just like blinking into the open and then just like like immediately blinking again.
Yeah.
You never want to use two blinks or one blink would suffice. Um, and then besides that, playstyle wise, there were some times where you would just get really aggressive off of nothing in particular. Tracer acts as an opportunistic character, an opportunist, where she wants to poke and poke and poke and poke, and then she wants to go in and engage when she sees an opportunity, right? So she wants to poke so she can maybe make an opportunity. She's trying to build ult charge. She's trying to soften them up, do damage maybe, and you're just waiting for something to happen. And then once something starts happening, then you can get more aggressive, right? So, so that could be somebody's low HP or somebody's off by themselves, and you can duel them. Or you have your ultimate and you can look to pull somebody. So you have different options for when for what constitutes opportunities, but you don't want to just like blink into the middle of their team for no reason because then you're just gonna get shredded and killed. But you could, if somebody's low HP, you could chase them down and then rewind out of there, which would be a lot easier than if you're trying to do that to somebody's full HP. So then besides that, just make sure you're sticking on the sidelines when you're not doing any of that, just like Soldier. Trying to think, your pulse bumps are pretty good. Crouching, so if you're trying to be quiet, this applies on Tracer, this applies on Soldier. But if you're sneaking, just hold crouch. If you have time to be slow, you can hold it. And this mutes your footsteps, right? Makes it very, very, very quiet where you're not really going to be heard. In fact, I don't even think you have any footsteps when full crouching. And then if you are further away from them or you need to be faster, then you can do crouch spamming, where this kind of like half mutes your footsteps, which just makes them quieter, but it helps you move a little bit faster while making them quieter. So, for example, you could, like if we're coming off onto the side here, once you kind of get into earshot, you can start doing the crouch spams. And then once you want to be really quiet, then you can hold it. Or if you need to be faster, then you can do that. You can still just hold the crouch spam anyways. So different ways to use it. Make sense? Okay. Why don't you queue up for game? Let me think. Was there anything else there? We got 25 minutes, so it's probably time for one more, and hopefully time for a wrap-up review. Let me know when you can get in a game.
Right.
Awareness. That's something else. Like, just make sure that you're paying attention to like one of the bigger things is like respawns, right? So maybe press tab. Or if you want to watch respawns, like that's something I don't think I noticed you press like ever is tab. Tab will give you information such as such as like what characters are both two teams on, right? Did anybody swap anything? Right, that's very helpful information for you to know if they've swapped any characters. And then it'll also show you like what ultimates you have. It'll show respawn times. It's just a handy tool, and you don't need to be constantly pressing it, but probably at least once between each fight. So between the fights, make sure that you're pressing it, and that'll help give you a bit more info. Could potentially, if you're watching respawns, that could help you know when people are walking back from spawn. But then also just like keeping your eyes and ears open will also help do that. So bit different ideas for you to be aware of your surroundings and not get caught off guard by people walking back from spawn. Make sense?
Yep.
Alright, cool. Um,
Yeah, I'm loading into a game now.
alright, awesome.
Every soldier needs a cause. Remember what we're fighting for.
You know, another thing I have a problem with is like looking at my accuracies. I always read like I read online that people are always like saying that, you know, this is the accuracy you need to get with like soldier, like at least 50. And you say if I get lower than 50, I start thinking, well, am I doing that good?
Yeah. Yep. Honestly, it's like just like not something to stress too much about. You know, focus more on, are you winning the game?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not winning, something's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
widow.
Don't take the head-on angle, as you know what I say.
Biotic healing ready for use. They've got the lead. Let's hustle. KIA.
Very nice. Lots of good decisions to take those side angles, to not take the widow head on.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Uh-oh. Right, so usually it's a good idea to analyze your deaths, right? Because deaths are a mistake, and they're an easy, they're a bigger mistake, and they're easy to pay attention to and know what you're doing wrong, right? So there, you didn't, you know, positioning could have been maybe a little bit better, but probably the biggest thing was you didn't notice that Junker Queen was there until she was on your face, right? So gotta make sure that you are paying attention, keeping your eyes and ears open, and watching where's their team at, where are all
That was stupid. Yeah. That was... Yeah, I have the tendencies with the Roadhog. I can overstay my welcome with
Yep.
the Junker Queen and Hogs. Yeah. There's an opening there.
Yeah, I don't know if I knew that I guess that's that's the part that they changed.
Yeah.
I honestly forgot about that.
Knock me down and I'll keep getting back up.
Oh, come here.
Never leave a teammate
Personne
behind.
n'échappe à mon regard.
Nice, good Good job playing cover on the Widow there.
Claiming the robot.
Nice. I like playing the catacombs so I can stay out of Widow LOS.
They're in chase.
Going up those stairs might be a good angle.
Mm. That goes all the way around.
Yep.
Yeah, still yeah.
Alright, so
Yeah, I kind of staggered myself there. Probably
exactly.
should.
So when the fight's over, you gotta think to yourself,
Yeah.
will I be able to make it out? And if the answer is no, then you probably just want to die,
Yeah.
rather than trying to run away. Plus, when you're running away, you kind of ran off to like the corner and like pinned yourself in,
Yeah.
which is another problem.
The enemy is moving the barricade! Stop them!
Not exactly what I expected.
Good hunting to create lots of pressure. That was it was a good zoning item. And there's maybe a time or two where you could have gotten a kill, but overall it was really good.
Mm.
Just to keep them all pinned down.
Receive my aid.
Nice.
The robot is in our possession. Unassailable prowess. 30 seconds. Forward swarm activated. Helden sterben nicht.
Yeah.
Okay, so noticing him hair late. I think he got the hinder on you. Do you try to roll but it canceled?
Yeah, canceled it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
They still haven't seen. We'll win this thing if we can get him off the robot.
There's a test subject. Tango in sight.
Final destination.
Alright, good game.
Expel.
Yeah.
Let's stick with it.
Alright. We'll have enough time for another one, so let's do the wrap-up review and main points of the session.
Hey.
Alright. So, overall, pretty good. I mean, probably the weakest, like the weakest one was the middle one, where we struggled kind of on Tracer, which they did, in that middle one, maybe we could have been on some more optimal characters potentially. First point, we did have a McCree, but then McCree swapped off. So, but Soldier sometimes, Soldier can struggle against a Tracer to kind of keep up with her, unless you land the really nice Helix. Tracer does kind of have the edge in the duels against Soldier. So Kree could have been a better pick potentially there. And then once we swapped the Tracer, we're swapping the Tracer on a more open map, not necessarily a bad map for Tracer, just a more open map where Soldier could have gotten more value. But then also, we were playing her in a situation where they had like a brig, and were able to just kind of keep us at bay, decently easy. And obviously, you don't have as much experience with her. Now let's go over main points. Tracer pulse bomb usage, honestly, pretty good. Not really any problems there. Make sure that they're being used during fights, though. Maybe there's like one, if I remember correctly, that we used when our team wasn't ready to push with it. Meaning that even if we get a pick, they can just kind of back up and then wait for the respawn if our team's not ready to run in. So make sure that's another bigger thing, like make sure you're syncing up with your team. So then abilities, watch your blink recall, watch wasting blinks by doing double blinks, blink in like duels and things like that. A lot of times you kind of like come up from like this front angle, but if you get behind them, then they're not looking at you and it's a lot harder for them. In duels you can blink behind people to make it so if we're here we can blink behind and do like a 360, and you kind of alternate between that. So wait for them to come towards you, right here, right? So blink behind, they're gonna turn around, and then you blink behind again, and you kind of just keep alternating between that, and that'll make it really easy to pick people off. Overall abilities are like a low to medium priority for you to work on. On Kree, roll, I didn't really see you use roll too much, right? There was the one time where it got canceled, and then we used it to roll back from spawn, and that was about it. So just remember that, it's gonna be useful to reload when you need to just get an extra shot in quickly. We can do roll to get that. We can use roll for mobility, for movement, for damage reduction and dodging. Lots of different uses for it. And then maybe same with flashbang. Like I only saw flashbang used like once or twice. And roll in a fight was only used once or twice. So just make sure you're using your abilities. High noon, pretty good usage. Just if you see those skulls, look to click it. Overall abilities, maybe higher end of a low to medium or lower end of a medium priority for you to work on. Ult usage wasn't that bad, not too much to worry about. Soldier, with your visor, maybe look to like take that, take a flank angle. But overall, like visors were pretty good. Make sure you have your team to follow up, so sync up with your team. Otherwise, they might just, if your team's not ready to push, then they just have a lot of resources to dedicate to you. Also look to get headshots still in your visors. And don't flip-flop between people, right? If we're just kind of going back and forth, then we're just not going to be able to kill them, either of them very fast. And then look to get your headshots so you can mow people down. So visor maybe a little bit of work in comparison to pulse bomb and high noon. So that'll be like a low to medium for you. Watch Helix is pretty good. You did better with the healing pads. Just place health pads when you need them. Don't waste them when you're full HP. But I only saw that like once or twice, not all the time. So honestly, abilities not very much to write home about. It kind of flips back and forth between these characters. Tracer was abilities that it was a low to medium. Don't worry about pulse bomb. Kree, don't worry about high noon. Abilities like a lower end of a medium. And then soldier, don't worry about abilities. But ultimate was like a low to medium, or a higher end of a low to medium, somewhere in that range. Now mechanics. Let me think. Did we talk about very many things mechanically? Watch like standing still. Sometimes you're kind of like chill, and that's how you're getting like hooked and hit and headshot and hit by those hit by the knife, right? Is because we're just kind of like we'll get to a spot and then we'll kind of just like sit here. To make sure that you're constantly strafing. Make sure you're not going too fast, because then this just keeps you in the same spot, right? If you're just standing still, very easy to hit. If you're going too fast, very easy to hit. If you're going too slow, very easy to hit. So you want to find a nice medium pace of back and forth. If you're going forward and backwards, this also is bad, because once again you're just staying in the exact same spot on their screen, on their perspective. So just make sure you're just mixing it up. Add in a crouch once in a while, and don't stand still. Don't make yourself an easy target. Watch, we talked about crouching a little bit. I'll throw that into mechanics, movement mechanics, I guess. Overall aim mechanics, very good. Not too many problems with it at all. Overall mechanics, it's like and then maybe also like target priority goes in here a little bit. Watch, sometimes you're focused on tanks too much. Look at them if they're low, if they're out of position, if they're the easiest thing to kill, or they're the only thing you can shoot at. But if you have the options to go in the back line and mow down the squishies, then a lot of times that'll take priority, especially if the thing's just going to get pocketed. But overall, that all goes to like a low to medium priority. And then next comes positioning. Positioning, make sure you're using cover. Make sure that you are taking those off angles and flanks. That kind of also gets into, I forgot to mention on Tracer, watch, and that maybe goes to mechanics, but also could go to positioning. Mechanics, your opportunistic play style on Tracer. So watch how you're playing on Tracer. And then even on Soldier, make sure you're taking those off angles against those Widowmakers so you can go hunt her down in the back line. Stay out of her line of sight, which you started doing a lot better at. But still was like a struggle once in a while. You get headshot because you'd be out in the open or trying to take the duel with her from really far away. So look to avoid those. Overall, that was like a medium priority. And then awareness, pay attention to where is your team at? Where's their team at? Probably the biggest things. Where's their team? Where's your team? Press tab so you know what's going on tab, and watch respawns. Those are probably the biggest things for you to pay attention to. And those, that got you killed a couple times when you didn't see that they had somebody walking back from spawn, or the Junker Queen was right on top of you. And it also, sometimes you'd like go in a little bit quick without your teammates. So pay attention to that. Overall, that one's also around like a medium. So to put that all in order, number 1, I think that you're already starting to do better with it while you're playing. So let's just say positioning. Then comes awareness, and then comes probably, depending on the character, the ability usage / ult usage. So it was ability usage for Kree and Tracer, and then ult usage for Soldier. And then finally mechanics kind of coming up last. Really the main one in there is just Tracer. Mechanics maybe goes a little bit higher on the list. In terms of playstyle, crouching, things like that. Mechanics could go a little bit higher.
To save the world.
Not necessarily in terms of aim mechanics, but just general gameplay mechanics and things related to shooting. Does all that make sense? Do you have any questions on anything?
I know I don't have much more time, but do you have any advice for like playing against like a Genji or like any of the dive characters in it?
Yeah, well,
So much for
Kree
that.
I don't know.
is probably going to do a lot better than Soldier. Soldier kind of has that disadvantage, and Ashe too, kind of depending on the range, right? Like Ashe, you can play Ashe if it's like if it's a long range map, or you're playing a long range comp, right? Then you kind of get that extra advantage of distance. Soldier's is very flexible, but he can struggle up against those divey characters. So Kree would probably be your best bet out of the characters you play for that counter dive. Make sure that you're playing with your teammates. If they're playing dive, you don't need to flank as much usually, because if they don't have a shield and they're just kind of running at you, then there's no need for you to be off by yourself, because then you'll just be an easier dive target for them. So play with your teammates, play off health packs, don't go running off by yourself, save your abilities for when they get on top of you, so maybe hold on to your roll and your flashbang so you're ready to roll away and flash or things like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Or did I answer it?
I think I'm good for now.
Alright, awesome. Well, let me get you, I'm gonna